Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the York City Planning Commission to order. May we have a roll call?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Johnson,
Here.
Davis,
Here.
Velez is absent. Burgos? Here. Wolf,
Here.
Richardson is absent. Gaines?
Here.
Wolf and Richardson are excused.
Yes, sir.
Minutes from the previous meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them?
That was Velez and Richardson, not Wolf.
Oh, I'm sorry. You snuck in. Are there any edits to the minute, to the minutes? Is there a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
You second that. Okay.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports, zoning hearing board.
Okay, so it was canceled. It says it was canceled
Okay.
because it was only the one case and the people weren't here, didn't show up for planning, and you all wanted to hear that case. So they didn't have a zoning hearing board meeting in
Right.
August.
Any unfinished business? New business, reappointment of Corey Wolf to the Vacant Property Review Board Committee. Is there a motion to nominate Corey?
I make a motion to reappoint Corey Wolf to the Vacant Property Review Committee.
I second.
Do you accept?
I accept.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Our presentation tonight is not going to be Jessica Fieldhouse. Blanda, would you step forward?
Yes, so you said the comp plan and the future land use was tabled till October, correct?
No,
Did you say that? Okay,
I
That's-
can say that.
okay.
I was waiting for his motion or his request.
Yes, I'm sorry. On behalf of Jess Fieldhouse, she sends her regrets. She came down with a stomach bug earlier today and was unable to attend tonight. So she will be presenting the comp plan update and the and future land use discussion at the October meeting. But in order to keep things moving, Jess and I and others in the Department of I'm Blandon Ace, Chief Opportunity Development Officer for the City of York, the Department of Economic and Community Development, and I also serve as Secretary and Executive Director of the city's redevelopment authority as well. We've been working in the Department of Community and Economic Development for the last year and a half, 2 years, on ideas or theories that we can do to help with the housing crisis. One of the issues, of course, is the constructability of new homes. The RDA, for example, owns 103 vacant lots, some of which are contiguous. So there are areas where somebody or the redevelopment authority or somebody could do a common ownership merger and create a larger plot of land, or subdivide it into multiple parcels like we recently saw over here on Maple Street, where Chris Pasatics took 5 and made it into 4 in order to meet the zoning requirements. What we have been seeing recently, and this board has approved, multiple visits for variances. In particular, 2 that are kind of high profile right now are the development of the Graybill site at 300 North Broad Street, where that developer, working with the RDA, is proposing, I believe, 120 units in an EC zoning district. Currently, EC does not allow housing at all, and a lot of our vacant properties are zoned EC. And I think that's just nationwide. You see a lot of corporations, employment centers, companies that are leaving cities and going out into the green fields, throwing up whole buildings. It's easy, it's simple. We would love to maintain those jobs, but at the same time, obviously there's a market to redevelop some of those properties into housing, particularly the vacant ones. And so we've been working on this, what we're calling the residential redevelopment overlay, which would be a text amendment to our current zoning code that would go in and allow density as a use by right in EC zones, MUI zones, which is multi-use institutional, and also define certain types of housing in other residential areas. So this overlay would apply to any parcel throughout the city with this board and council's approval that it meets certain criteria. It's vacant for a year, it's blighted, it's those kinds of things that we can do to bring those properties back into our tax rolls rather than them being just vacant lots. Plus, it solves a large housing crisis. And so the overall overarching goal to this amendment is to create an incentive or lower the barriers for new development or redevelopment, hence the name residential redevelopment overlay. And rather than creating this extra stigma or this extra step of having to get a zoning variance and prove the need and the demand and the desire, that this would be a use by right if it met certain criteria. And one of those is that it has to be at least a half acre. So a lot of the city parcels are like 0.03 acres. This would be an area where if somebody could assemble a group of parcels and build something, that it would be a use by right. One of the interesting things in doing some of our research is density. If someone were to build a multiple family dwelling, new construction, for example, in the NU2 and the MIU2 currently, the maximum units per acre is 15. So if you have a large site, you're only allowed to put 15 acres in there. You can't do 100 or 80 or even 40 because without getting a variance and proving it. This would allow that, and I believe in this draft that is in your packet, allows up to 75 per acre. All of the dimensions and all of the criteria that are listed in the draft text amendment overlay that you have are based in fact on variances that have been approved over the last 2 years. So this is not only density, but also parking as well. So we, a lot of people, and particularly related to the Graybill site, that math worked out to like 0.58 parking spaces per unit. I believe the language in here allows for 0.65 spaces per unit. What this also does as well is, and we will address some different types of, I want to say more modern vernacular as it relates to apartment units and housing, duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes, what they call mansion apartments, which is anywhere between 4 and 12 units. So it brings York into a little bit more current times with the vernacular of the house types. And it allows for the direction towards form-based zoning, a little bit of, let's make sure we meet the architectural character of the surrounding neighborhoods. In fact, I think there's even language in here that the height in one of the zones has to, for example, a stacked duplex, the building height must conform to the 80th percentile of building heights within the block face. So we're making sure that we have consistent infill development throughout this proposed amendment. Trying to think of what else I needed to talk to you a little bit about. The eligibility for this, and that's important. In your packet on the back page is a map, and I apologize for the size, and we can certainly email this out to you. This is an analysis of every parcel that's over 1/4 of an acre that's vacant, as well as every parcel that's over 1/2 an acre that's vacant. So really, when you look at this, is not a lot of spaces. Obviously, there's an open space up there at Smalls Field, which we're not going to develop into housing anytime. That's deed restricted. It can't ever be developed anyway. But the math shows, or the geography shows, all of these areas where this is a potential where it could be applied tomorrow, that we could start to redevelop and allow for new construction of appropriate, what we're calling middle-level housing, middle-income housing, or even low-income housing. But the goal overall is to create those middle housing options. Hopefully, then long-term, this reduces the barrier to entry and creates more supply. I mean, right now, the housing is a supply and demand issue, and the only way to really fix that is increase the supply. And I think as a municipality, and certainly in the department, we feel that whatever we can do to lower barriers to entry will encourage that type of appropriate development for everything. So happy to answer any questions on a schedule and process. Jess will be back next month to talk more about this in greater detail. We are hoping that this is a planning commission. This is your document. This is your proposal. We are hoping that at the next month's October meeting, that this board would send it up to council. Council would then send it to the planning commission for their official review and comment, for the county planning commission for their official review and comment before it's adopted by council finally. What we are going to do in the meantime is also send it to the county planning commission for their review of this draft to get their initial feedback as well. And Jess does want to add some more information in here. There are photos that you'll see in there as typical houses. She's met with a couple of local architects and historians that we want to try to bake in the proper descriptor of what a house should look like, particularly in certain neighborhoods, because we really want to maintain the, obviously the architectural heritage as appropriate as well. Questions, comments, concerns?
Does this proposal address the difference in width, size with what you're proposing versus the empty lots that we have in the older sections of the city?
Yes, in fact, Jess did an analysis of that, again, based on the GIS of the vacant parcel, or no, all of the lots. She looked at the 25th percentile and the 75th percentile of lot widths. Amazingly, like RS2, UN, well, RS2 is larger, but UN1 and UN2, the 25th percentile, they're like 17-foot wide lots, which is challenging, obviously, when you have to maintain setbacks, side distance, and front yards as well. The 75th percentile on those two are about 27 feet. So even the large lots are not that large, but we still want to maintain those proper setbacks, and that's why every single page has suggested setbacks on a lot of these proposed properties. Still, wherever the residential redevelopment overlay would be applied, the underlying district would still control.
Does the what proportion of the city does the overlay cover?
Everything except RS2 and open space. So it is citywide. And a lot of that is, there are needs. Obviously, we don't necessarily see the need or the reason to create higher density in RS2. Those are single-family homes. Those, that's when you picture that, that's a Fireside, that's a Springdale, that's an area where you see single-family homes with larger lots, and that's not where you want to put necessarily a mansion apartment with 12 units in it. It's not appropriate for that area.
Blanda, I just want to add that in the UN1 and UN2 zoning districts, there are no setbacks.
Correct. And the one-off lots as well. We had debated during the development of this, how do we address that single lot that's in a block? Does this apply to that? And that by right, you can do replacement infill housing anyway. So that already exists. It's the construction of a triplex or a quadruplex or something like that it runs into some challenges.
Well, the smaller lots in width, at least according to the building code, I understand, still needs a waiver or an exception because the ordinance is wider than these lots are currently.
Correct.
And
But we didn't want to go crazy with this. This is, and we certainly can, basically, we certainly can narrow that minimum lot requirement. We've had a lot of discussion about appropriate square footage of properties as well. Is it 400 square feet? Is it 600 square feet? Those types of discussions that Jess has been having with architects.
Are you talking about the structure itself?
Yeah, the living area. And this also adds ADUs by right as well, so accessory dwelling units then, which I think is really critical. You could have a carriage house or a garage with an apartment above it to the rear of your property, which is becoming more and more popular, or grandparents' house, or you could have co-located properties on the same parcel.
Are there any other questions?
I don't know who can answer this. Is it possible, reasonable, legal to request that served alongside this proposal or preceded by it, maybe some draft sections of the comprehensive, like the relevant sections of the comprehensive report? I know these issues, affordable housing, housing volume, parking within the city, things that would be directly affected by this, came up a lot in a lot of the meetings and a lot of the data that was aggregated, because I feel like otherwise we're looking at a plan that could dramatically change the inventory of housing in York and dramatically change some of the flow of things over the next decade. And as it is, we're working off of a 10-year-old document that's just muddied with our own personal biases of housing in York and whatever we've encountered in these meetings and out in the public. Whereas at least a draft version would afford us some concrete input from the public on these subjects. Is that a possibility
Yeah,
to say,
I'm not
this is
the-
what people are asking for, draft-wise?
That's a great idea, and I appreciate that, because it does give you concrete evidence that's in a real document, not just anecdotal proof. And I think we have that information. It just hasn't been assembled together. Jess can answer that next month.
Okay.
And along with her update of where the comp plan actually stands as well. But I do like that.
Yeah, because I wrote down one or two questions on here, but there are probably questions I haven't even thought to ask because of things that might have updated views and realities that we just haven't gotten to yet. So.
Right, yeah. And now she developed this herself, and she's also working on the comp plan, so I have a feeling there's a
Yeah,
really
she's
good
benefiting from that, but we'd like to see
there's
the
a
data.
really good marriage there, but I just don't know any of the, I can't speak to where that stands. But I do agree.
Excellent.
Any other questions? Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this plan? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't believe so. Again, take this with you, review it. You can certainly email myself or Nancy or Jessica with any questions or concerns or comments, or save them for October's meeting. We'll have this back on the agenda for October. But I think this is something that's almost press-worthy. We can say, look what we're doing to help solve the housing crisis in York. That we're trying to adopt an ordinance or modify our ordinance that would allow for the creation of middle housing, which is, we're focused on that Alice community, and whatever we can do to help that supply and demand issue. Okay?
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Our first case tonight is 7.1.1, Land Development Subdivision Plan for Children's Aid Society. First, we'll hear from staff, then we'll ask the applicant to step forward.
Okay, so this is, if you all remember, if you can think back to 2021, they were the first case for a group home. It doesn't have an address, it just has a parcel number. And then last month, it came before you for, to add a daycare center as well. So now they're in front of you for, to put the preliminary final, land development plan into a final one. And also, something that was on for the review from C.S. Davison about some street trees for buffering and screening along Poplar Street. So that's what they're here in front of you for now, this evening.
Yes, sir.
Well, good evening. My name's Adam Anderson. I'm with Site Design Concepts. With me this evening is Eric Chase with Children's Aid Society, the applicant and the owner of the property. So as Nancy mentioned, we are here with a preliminary final land development plan. We do have 2 waiver requests on the agenda. And also, as mentioned, we were here as part of a zoning application for a special exception. So to summarize, since 21 now, we have our group quarters and a childcare center on a 0.856 acre lot. It's an existing parking lot, which is shown on sheet C3. The majority of that will be removed, as you can see with the red here. It's basically some concrete islands and some bollards. And then if you flip to C4, C5, C6, you can see what we're proposing. So what I have here is the site layout plan. The orange area represents the proposed building. It's a 2-story building with a footprint just over 8,000 square feet. It's going to contain 16 beds for the group quarters and then a child care center. Paved parking area on the left-hand side there for parking for the facility. The green area represents an outdoor play area, and then we're connecting to public utilities, water, sewer, gas, electric. The impervious area is less than pre-development, so therefore there is no stormwater facilities with this project. And then the landscaping, so that is on C6. So the requirement is to show street trees along all of Poplar Street. So the existing parking lot doesn't have any street trees. What we're proposing is to add street trees in this grass area here between the sidewalk and the parking, and then also have trees within the parking islands. So we've received the city's staff review letter, have addressed the technical comments resubmitted. There's some administrative items that we take no issue with that will be addressed. So I'm here to answer questions.
I just have a curiosity question. The child care center, is that similar to a Head Start program?
Eric, do you want to?
It'll be an early learning childcare center
Okay.
for 16 children, including infants, toddlers, preschool, and after school. So it's not being pursued as part of the Head Start system, but it will be licensed by the state of Pennsylvania, and through childcare consultants will take children in that same way and be following their 4-star program.
Okay.
When you say the alternative proposal is to plant trees adjacent to the existing sidewalk, does that mean it's going to happen, or you're just like, we might be able to?
No. So if you flip to C6, our plan sheet, we're showing trees along the street. So yes, they will be built with this plan.
I just wanted to make sure.
Then you're going to have greenery within the parking lot itself?
Correct. Yep. So the gray represents pavement. The white area represents all of the green area. This green area represents play area.
Yeah.
I didn't want to confuse the green area as in the parking lot as play area.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public that would like to address this case? Do we have a motion for the waiver of preliminary requirements?
Quick question, we're referring to this as parcel 84, like for the record, or West Poplar? Okay.
You don't have to read the whole parcel number. It is just also for your FYI and possibly for Adam's FYI. The review letter and everything has been sent to our Mike Shannabrook so that he can be working ahead of time to get an address for the location.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay?
I make a motion to recommend approval of a waiver of preliminary requirements, requests for the plan to be reviewed as a preliminary final plan per section 1333.03 for the property at West Poplar Street, parcel 84.
Second.
Motion second, any further discussion? Would you call the vote, please?
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis. Aye. Burgos.
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of a waiver for street trees buffering screen along curb line on Poplar Street per section 1309.03.I for the property at West Poplar Street, parcel 84.
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis. Burgos.
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Now, do we take action on the plan, or is that for a different period?
No, that's, so that will be for your plan, to take action on the plan. That's so that it can go to the final plan
Okay.
thing for the finalization. So like I said, once I have all that, your bond and everything, then it will go on to resolution for council.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next case is 1050 Pennsylvania Avenue.
So this is Spirit Trust Lutheran, and what they are doing is subdividing their property. I do believe it's offices, and then if anybody's familiar with the area over there by Fireside off Pennsylvania Avenue, there are, I believe they call them cottages.
Correct.
And they're separating the office building from the cottages and asking for a subdivision.
Hello.
Good evening. Craig Smith with RGS Associates, and with me is Bob Rundle with Spirit Trust Lutheran. And the plan before the Planning Commission is a pretty straightforward plan. We're simply proposing to subdivide this current approximately 3-acre property along Pennsylvania Avenue into 2 pieces. The one will retain the 8 cottages that were mentioned on this side. And then on the north side, that will be subdivided off as the, what's currently being used as office and their, kind of their headquarters for Spirit Trust Lutheran. The building that's shown on the north side of the plan currently is being very underutilized. COVID-19 did not help that situation, and so Spirit Trust Lutheran is simply subdividing with the intent potentially to sell that property. So we, and just to be clear, there are no physical improvements as a part of this plan. It's just simply a subdivision. We did receive the city's comment letter, the county's comment letter. Really the only outstanding item besides kind of our administrative types of comments is we are currently locating the sewer and water laterals on the site just to ensure we understand where that falls relative to the subdivision itself. Other than that, the comments are largely administrative. We are requesting a waiver of preliminary plan so that this is filed as a combined preliminary final plan, and that waiver is a part of the plan and what's before you tonight as well. Any questions from the Planning Commission?
What was the problem with the laterals?
No problem. So the survey, we did get the property surveyed. The survey did not pick up individual services, sewer and water services. So we actually had to go out and mark those. They were out there today just to ensure we know where those connections to the main are.
Okay.
We're just locating it.
Any questions? Anyone from the public that would like to address this case? Hearing none, do we have a motion for the waiver preliminary requirements.
I recommend approval of a waiver of preliminary requirements, requesting the plan be reviewed as a preliminary final plan per 1333.03 for the property located at 1050 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the vote, please.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos. Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
So, just so I'm clear, the subdivision plan, that's not a part of this meeting, it's sort of a recommendation.
I'm sorry.
The subdivision plan itself, is that? can-
Yes, that's the subdivision plan. You're asking for the preliminary into a final, and they recommended approval.
Right, so the subdivision itself, in other words, we don't have to be back in front of the planning commission.
Correct.
This goes to the. borough-
Goes to
or
city council.
City council, once we.
Right,
take a read
once-
to the middle.
Once
Yes.
everything is
Gotcha, okay.
determined with the stormwater, the sewer and everything like that. So, yep.
Sounds good.
And I will let you know once once we send that resolution, everything's ready to go to council.
Sounds good. Thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Two 220 North Pine.
So this is something that you won't see a review letter for because C.S. Davison is actually the engineer for this project. It is 2 RDA properties being one reverse subdivided into one.
Yeah, this is probably one of the easiest cases you will ever see. This is essentially the erasure of a property line between two common owner. It's technically called a common ownership merger, COM. The County Planning Commission, Mike Schaefer has a drawing in for his review already, but as you can see on the drawing, we are simply taking 2 0.05 acre lots and combining them into 1.1 acre lot. So that's, there is a developer who's interested in building new on that parcel, and he would like to build a house with side yard setback, or side setbacks. So he obviously can't build in the middle of 2 parcels. As I said, the Planning Commission, County Planning Commission is reviewing it as well. Again, we're just eliminating 1 property line. So I know that your agenda says the motion is to recommend the waiver, but I had also requested you have another motion that also recommends approval contingent upon County Planning Commission comments or approval. There's no sense to come back to you again.
Well, we can make the original motion that's being requested conditional.
Correct.
Do we have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, is anyone else from the public who would like to address this case? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I recommend approval of a waiver of preliminary requirements, requesting that the plan be reviewed as a preliminary final plan per 1333.03 for the property located at 218 through 220 North Pine Street, contingent upon the county approval? Is that what you're saying?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos. Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Zoning appeals, case 35-2023-Z-V, 25 North Duke Street.
The applicant and the owner is the same, David Pefle at 700, what is it? Angine Street, Harrisburg, PA. The property was previously a multi-office dwelling. The applicant is seeking a dimensional variance to convert the property into a 16-unit apartment building. Variance Appeal 1, the applicant seeks a dimensional variance. Since the proposed use does not meet the ordinance, the property is large enough for 6 units. Staff have reviewed the variance provisions in 1304.01.1.0.002B subsection 4. Therefore, staff recommends approval of a definition variance to allow 16 units for the property at 25 North Duke Street as a multifamily conversion from a different use is a permitted use in the CBD zoning district, and applicant meets all other zoning ordinance with this address.
Good evening, sir. Could you provide your name for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Franklin Hernandez, and I'm here for DNF Realty. And I am proposing a variance for the property located at 25 North Duke Street. It's currently being rented out as offices, and we have it on the contract for purchase from the current owner. And we would like to do a 16-unit apartment in there. We have the square footage, which is 14,000 square foot total building. And we're planning on 8 two-bedroom apartments of the two-bedroom apartment about 805 square foot, and one-bedroom apartment of 688 square foot. We have the property on the contract with, if this gets accepted, that's pretty much the only way we buying the property. Because right now, they're renting out the offices, and it's not, it makes no sense for us to purchase that property to keep it in the same use as offices.
Is there an issue with keeping it occupied by offices?
It's not being rented. Like, they've been on the market to be rented for so long, and there's probably maybe like 3 or 4 offices that are being rented for like $300, $600. This property pays $17,000 a yearly in taxes. So it doesn't even cover the expenses of the building to keep it as an office.
Any questions?
Is there any information in our packet about this one, or did I miss it somewhere along the line? That fucking stupid.
Were you before us about this project?
What was that?
Were you here before about this project?
I missed my hearing, but it never,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. No questions.
Staff have anything to add?
I have a question. Is there a basement that you're putting apartments in?
yes, there's a basement, and the basement is about 4 feet high. The basement, and then the rest is like above ground. So the basement is about 10, 12 foot, and it's only like 4 feet of base underground.
Entrance, exit, is there another?
Yeah, there is 2 exits, one in the back and one in the front. And there's an elevator that goes all the way down to the basement.
Can't see the elevator, but.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, the staircase, I see the staircase now. All right,
yeah.
I was just worried about, I'm not a big basement fan.
Just curious, the basement apartments, will they have windows?
Yeah, there is already egress windows in the basement.
I thought so, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public who would like to address this case? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I recommend approval of a use variance to conform office space into multifamily conversion from a distant use found in section 1304.01-1.02.002 to include conversion of office space to a 16-unit for the property at 25 North Duke Street.
Second.
Do you have a second recorded? Do you have a second recorded? We had two voices. We had two voices. Do you have a second recorded?
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos. Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next case is 36-2023-Z-V, 611 West Market Street.
The applicant is Regulo Willoughby at 160 West Market Street, Unit 972, York, PA 17401. The zoning district, UN1, Urban Mixed Residential Commercial District. The summary is the property was previously a single-family dwelling. The applicant is seeking a definition variance to bring the property into compliance with the zoning ordinance as a multifamily license for a unit. The applicant seeks a definition variance since the proposed use does not meet the ordinance requiring a conversion from industrial, institutional, or commercial. The property is a single-family home. Staff have reviewed the variance provisions of 1311.10.d. Therefore, staff recommends approval of a definition variance to allow 4 units for the property at 611 West Market Street as a multifamily conversion from a different use. It is a permitted use in the UN1 zoning district. Variance appeal 2, the applicant seeks a dimensional variance since the proposed density is less than the permitted by the zoning ordinance in this district. Staff have reviewed the variance provision of 1311.10.d and finds the property is big enough for the proposed 4 unit. Therefore, staff recommends approval of a dimensional variance to allow 4 apartments for the property at 611 West Market Street. Variance appeal 3, the applicant seeks variance to decrease required parking spaces from the required 6 spaces. Staff have reviewed the variance provision of 1304.01.02.002 subsection D. Therefore, staff recommends denial of variance to decrease required parking spaces at the property at 611 West Market Street. Prior to the meeting tonight at 4 p.m., this property was condemned as an unlawful rooming house.
So how does that affect this request?
Well, basically, I was explaining to Mr. Willoughby here that because he put in for a different use and all the things that he would need to do to bring that property up into compliance with our ordinance, he says he's not able to do it at this time. So being that the property is already set up as a rooming house, unquote, I told him he might be better off just going that route. And he said he will be willing to do another zoning appeal application if that's the way they want to go.
That has to be advertised, right?
What was that?
Wouldn't that have to be advertised as such?
Yeah.
So he would have to redo the entire appeal because it is a different, use completely. There would be different variances and that's of such.
I might want to add, before I did not agree in totality to the proposed idea. I said I would like to go before and present my case, and then if so be it that the board finds, something need to be addressed, I will address those situations, and if so doing, I will then rescind if need be and go the other route. That was my exact comment. My exact comment was that I would still want to go before the board and present my case. And if so be it that I am unable to, if they find that I'm unable to be in compliant, at such time I will rescind and submit another application for the recommended usage.
Well, that is your
However,
right.
I still
sir.
want to go ahead and present my case.
That's your right. You have the right to do it.
So let me understand, let me be clear and understand. So you want to go through with, or you're trying to go through with converting it into 4 one-bedroom apartments?
As it states, yes, ma'am. However, there were a couple things that it was brought to my attention this early this evening that it's kind of because it brought to my attention. I'm not sure whether or not I didn't get a clear definition as to whether or not it can be or cannot be, due to a few points, which would be sprinkler system and certain other facets that that can be done. So I want to present it, and if the board see that those situations aren't able to be brought to speed or brought to time, then I will go the route which was recommended. However, what's interesting about the situation around here is the fact that the 4 units, I reside on the premises. The way it's separated is actually have 3 units and then my unit. The question was brought to my attention as to whether or not if I had put in sprinkler system, which is obviously I did not. I wasn't aware of that, so that was one of the contingencies that said I should go the other route, which is to get room and permit. The other thing that was brought to my attention was the fact that even though I had a fridge and other appliances, I was told that I would have to get bigger fridges per se per apartment, as well as like stove ovens. And I said, well, that can be done too as well. So based on the things that were presented to me, I feel as though that I still am able to present an argument for the case which I'm presenting. And if I don't make a sound argument, then I would gladly submit and move forward with the proposed suggestion.
Okay, so first off, those things that were listed as far as the sprinkler system and such, that is the building codes official say. And then also, since it's being condemned as an illegal rooming house, you would have to have 30 days to get everybody out of there that's living there now and get a certificate of occupancy before you could even entertain the fact of a 4-unit, a rooming house, or anything before you could come even before Planning Commission and or the Zoning Hearing Board. You see what I'm saying?
Can I get clarification? The sprinkler system, is that mandated for, what unit classification is that? Because my understanding was commercial. Would this be considered commercial?
You can probably answer that better.
3 or more apartments is considered commercial. The problem you're running into, sir, like I stated to you earlier, you do not have full apartments. Most of your apartments doesn't have a kitchen or a bathroom in the unit. You should not have to come outside your apartment to go to a bathroom. The way your house is literally set up, I explained to you, it's more of a rooming house situation because mostly every room has a small dorm room refrigerator and a microwave and height plates. No stove. It's not really considered a full apartment under the city guidelines.
I understand what you indicated, sir. And like I said to you, with all due respect, when we went to the other, based on the variance that's put forth in this documentation, as far as square footage, I was able to show it has not been completed. There was only one particular room or instance on the second floor, which is in this, I can point it out to you, wherein because there's a disgruntled individual residing there, I was unable to complete the last piece of that conversion. And if I could bring your attention to what I'm referring to, it can easily be assessed that why would I want to break a wall knowing fully well that an individual is in there? My orders or my instructions when I went for the eviction was to have the gentleman come out, and after he's vacated, then I may continue that process. And I can show you, if you look in the diagrams, all these are actually full apartments. I do submit to you that you are correct. You indicate I should have bigger fridges. I have no problem with that. You indicated that, I should have a stove in there. Have no issue with that. But as far as what was presented on the documentation, as far as square footage needed, as far as parking space needed, everything that was required of me in this instance has been provided.
Not to interrupt, but to interrupt. With respect to everyone's time here, if we can just clarify what we are or are not able to do here at the Planning Commission before this becomes like a whole zoning meeting that could happen anywhere. We can only vote on the 3 things that are on here.
Okay.
We have no control over building codes or who enforces what or who determines what. All we could do is say, yes, it could be considered 4 units if that's what you're going for, and we could reduce the off-street parking from 6 to 4.
Yes, sir.
Are you still looking for those things to happen tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, not sure, being the situation that it's in, because he would have to get in other words, convert it back to single family, like what this is.
It is
here.
currently single family, is it not?
No.
What is it currently?
Currently, it's a rooming house, right? Right.
Set up as a rooming house or is
Nope.
actually a rooming house? Is it single family or a rooming house currently?
Basically a rooming house because he has one really full apartment.
But what, if we were to look at the paperwork for this property, is it listed as a rooming house or is it just being used as a rooming house? So what would we see if we looked at it? It would be single family, correct? Okay. So he doesn't have to convert it back to single family because it never left single family, and that's my point.
Yeah.
We can approve this, and whether or not he does anything with that isn't our problem. And whatever arguments everyone's having,
Okay, so just to clarify, it's not licensed as anything, okay? However, if they're gonna condemn the property as an illegal rooming house, then we can't say until he removes the people within the 30 days, converts it back to single family, and has a certificate of occupancy that says it's single family. Right now, as far as the city is concerned, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just getting this secondhand from Monty as to what's going on, because it was presented as a appeal as a single-family home. But if now it's gonna be condemned as an illegal rooming house, it no longer takes on that single-family use until he can get a certificate of occupancy.
would our approval, since it is tied to the address, not cover once it becomes a single family again? Is it only at this current moment, or is it like, if we approve it to go from single family to multifamily right now, would that approval not still be valid if he gets it out of condemnation and it becomes single family, and then it is pre-approved to go from single family to multifamily because of what we've done here tonight?
So I would say no, because because I've never had this situation before, and because this was just presented today, okay? I have never had a situation in this manner. However, if you recommend approval, let's just say, or even recommend denial, let's say either way, okay? So if you recommend denial, you're recommending approval or denial on something that it literally is not, if they're going to condemn it right this very moment. Because when they condemn that, then the property owner has 30 days to remove the individuals that are in there and to get it inspected and get it legally a single-family home. Certificate of occupancy, correct? Is that how that?
Because right now it's basically illegal use, that's what.
If, since I don't know enough about this, then if it is the opinion, we'll go with that because I don't have a better word, of staff that a condemned property does not have a current use, and so we can't make any motions on it, should this case have just been tabled or stricken before the meeting happened? Since we could not have voted on anything.
Right, so it really should be stricken because he'll have to resubmit whichever direction he wants to go. Within the period of time, the 30 days, as Mr. Willoughby had stated, he's, talked to folks that say that if he wants to go the 4 apartment route, he's going to need a sprinkler system because it's going to be considered commercial, and he's not sure that, that he could afford to do all that and put in, I don't know what his situation is, put in the kitchen, the proper bathroom in every apartment because it doesn't have that at current time. So
So do we table it, or does it get removed because it would get a new case number entirely?
oh, it would get a new case number entirely.
So do
And
we
like,
do that, or do you do that?
Um,
Just so we can do that and move to the next step?
I don't know. I honestly cannot say because it's never happened before.
Excuse-
I would say you guys would strike it and then he would come back.
Pardon me. I came to your guy's office and I stated I wasn't sure what this property was. I indicated when I got the property, it was being rented. When I submitted my documentation, the office told me, well, if you want to do 4 units, you have to submit another kind of documentation, an appeal, and then, so everyone was aware that folks were living there, and I was trying to get everything compliant because apparently the person who owned it prior to me did not take the necessary steps to get it in compliant. And you state that this has never happened before. I've been here several times, and I've saw other individuals who had people living in situations, and they were given some kind of grace period for the folks who are living there to remain there while the process was being continued.
Okay.
And I don't think based on this is not the precedence. I've seen it before. I think sincerely I should have the opportunity to make the situation right because everything I've been asked to do, I have done. Now today, to me, this is, like I told the gentleman, I've set my documentation almost a month and a half ago. I've asked to meet with folks to come out and see what's going on. No one ever came out. I understand that. But today, I find that so, not even coincidental for this to happen today. Because if we're basing it on what is being required and suggested here in this documentation, everything I am in compliant with. And the things that I have misunderstandings of, that could be easily spoken about and rectified. This was already a single family situation. I don't understand why I have to go back to, it was a single family. I petitioned for it to be able to be rented a single family because they told me what I needed to have done. And I said, no, I don't want a single family. They said, no, we will revoke the single family and then we allow you to go ahead and petition to be for a 4-unit situation. So I applied for both because once I realized that what was told to me when I purchased the property was inaccurate, I followed all the protocol procedures to bring it up to where it's supposed to be accurate. So to say that I have to go back to single,
So, sir, so let's start back. Let's go back to you purchased the property. Do you own any other properties here in the city of York?
what is,
Do you own any other properties? I'm just asking because, yes, you have seen this happen before, not exactly like this, where individuals will purchase a property, it looks like a 2-unit, it looks like a 4-unit, it looks like a rooming house, but never ask for, well, is it licensed as such with the city? I need proof as
That's
it's
my
being
fault.
licensed.
I did
got
not do
you.
that.
Okay,
So
so
when I
we're on the
did do
same
that-
page there. Got you, I'm there. So when you purchased the property, did it look like a 4-unit with 4 bathrooms?
No,
with
ma'am.
four-
It did not,
Okay,
ma'am.
so it looked like a rooming house.
No, ma'am. It looked like a single family. It was like a commercial
How
building.
many people are living there?
When I purchased it,
Yes.
the gentleman kicked the folk. Like he made it. It was a weird situation. The folks who were living there, he had them leave out. He just told me that this property, I'm renting this out. I said I don't want to rent. I would like to purchase the property. I said okay. The agreement was, you know what? I don't want to move in here because I'm coming from out of state. I'm moving to this state to live. So by the time I got here, the folks that were in the property were vacated.
How many people are there right now?
Right now?
At 7 o'clock this evening?
1, 2.
So there's more than one, so there's more than one family there. So what I'm saying to you, what we're saying to you, I understand that you got in a situation where you were deceived as far as that's concerned. But you own the property now, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
And you are still collecting rent from 6 people. So
No,
you are
no.
still, or you're
6
still,
people. I'm collecting rent from 4 units.
okay. But
or
you're
3
still
units.
collecting rent from more than let's say a mother, father, and 3 kids.
Correct.
Okay.
Which I,
So you are still operating that. So that is why, because, so if you wanted to keep the same stature to say, hey, I have a rooming house, I bought this, I didn't understand that it was a rooming house, but I'm saying that it is a rooming house, I need to go in front and file an appeal for a rooming house. Then the condemnation could have been, we could have said, okay, he's going through the right process to try to get this legal as a rooming house, because we've had that happen. We've had people be deceived on 2 units, and we didn't have them kick the people out that were there. We had them come file the appeal and try to get it the way it is now.
ma'am, I never indicated it was a rumor house.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I was never told. I was told it was rented. Where I bought the property from, at no point even now, I'm saying that they ever told it was a rooming house. In my petition, it was no petition for a rooming house. I got it as a rental. I did do the conversion into for myself to stay there and 3 other units. That's what's currently there. When I went in and to say, look here, man, can I please get the license and so forth? That's when they say, no, what, this property has never been in the system. I said, really? I said, okay, let me apply for that. When I applied for the single family, whatever they saw in the system it was at, they told me, well, since you have it started conversion for 4 units, then you have to apply for this one. So they rescinded the single family and said, you know what? We'll proceed with you to go ahead and file for the 4 unit because that's what's going on right now, which I have no problem with. I've never requested to do a rooming house situation. However, based on the suggestions, because I wasn't clear of a couple of things, which are if I put a fridge, a standard size fridge, oven into those, these are actual exact photos of what's happening right now. And these are exact apartments. I would be the first to say if anyone took the time to go right now, you would see exactly this photo. The only thing you would see differently, the only thing is on the 2nd floor where there's this grown individual, we were unable to put the door in to make the connection between the room and the kitchen and the bathroom. There's just one wall and put up the wall. That's it. Also, with the appliances. Yes, they have what we call dorm appliances. However, I was informed that they have to have, I guess, standard appliances, which I have no problem getting to as well. The only issue I was trying to figure out now, do I need to have the sprinkler system?
Okay,
Because no one was clear about that.
okay.
That was never mentioned.
So what?
I am going to insist that we don't do this. We're just going in circles. There's no longer business in front of the planning commission. We can't vote on anything. That's nothing to do with what you've filed with anything. The current situation is we can't do anything about anything right now, which means we can't do anything about anything. So there can be meetings afterwards or whatever to solve all the problems. What I would like to know is this gentleman paid money to appeal a decision, correct? Is there a difference between us striking it or him withdrawing it in his ability to resubmit without repaying that fee?
So he paid for three, so he paid $700. So if he comes back to go for the rooming house because he would need sprinkler systems for the 4 units, then we won't charge him the $700 again, in other words. So if it's, I think the most at a rooming house with the variances and depending upon what, he's in the UN1 district, depending upon what that, I mean, they're not.
So is that a strike or a withdrawal?
Yeah, that's just.
Or
doesn't
are
matter.
either of them work?
Either way, it will be the determination of the zoning officer not to recharge him that $700. He may have an additional $100 or $200 depending upon what he does. But if he comes back in for the 4 units and decides to do the 4 units,
Sure.
he will not be recharged, but he will
Okay.
get a whole nother.
I just want to make sure of that before we make our decision because
Yeah.
it seems like things happen at the last minute before this meeting.
Correct.
And it's unfair to penalize everyone for that
he
kind of
won't be
stuff
charged.
or us continue to sit here while this happens.
Right, he won't be charged again, but he'll have a whole new case number. And
So would you like, will it be easier for you that we ask him to withdraw this for now? Or is it easier for us to strike it for now?
I'd say probably just to withdraw it, for right now. And then that way we can reevaluate how you need to approach this.
Can you do that?
Contingent on the fact that I would ask, if permissible, for the folks who are there who have. I mean, it's my issue. I would like for the folks to be able to stay there whilst this process is being further gone through. I wouldn't want the folks to be kicked out, to say the least.
You want it to be kicked out?
No,
Is that
I
what-
do not want the folks to, once I
yeah.
continue the process, if
I
I do choose to
understand that.
withdraw, if I do choose
That,
to withdraw.
that won't be solved by withdrawing or striking or voting tonight regardless.
Just asking
So,
if that would
Okay,
be.
that is not going to be a decision because you came in front of the board for 4 units. You don't have 4 apartments with 4 separate families living in full 4 apartments. So if it gets condemned as a rooming house, they're going to have to be put out and then you have to get it recertified as single family because you came in front of us as a single family home to convert it into 4 apartments. Are we clear on that? I mean, it wasn't that you came in front of the board and said, hey, I just bought this, didn't realize it was a rooming house. I'm gonna try to get it approved for a rooming house, for a 4-room, 5-room, because you can have up to 6 rooms with no more than 2 adults in each room. So what this appeal is for 4 apartments from a single-family home. And it is not from a single-family home. So if you want to do the 4 units, once it's condemned, you get the folks out. I know it's a hard call, and the only thing that we can talk about that's not my call, and that's not Monty's call. That's gonna have to be through Michelle and them as to whether or not she lets them stay and whether or not, we redo this whole thing. So it's better if you just withdraw it, because if you withdraw it, then when you come back, after the whole conversations and everything take place, then it will come back under the correct thing. It'll either be the 4 units or the rooming house. Would you not agree? I mean, you,
I withdraw.
okay.
thank you, sir.
And then if you want to stay
I withdraw before you.
withdraw?
Yes.
outside, all right.
So you'll make sure that his conversations are taken care of?
That what now?
You'll ensure his conversations
Oh,
are
yeah.
taken.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna be, it's gonna be the whole conversation as a whole, as to his different options, and I don't know that that Monty actually has the last say on whether or not the tenants stay with the condemnation. I don't know.
We'll find out.
We don't know at this point.
Sorry for the confusion.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Then let the record show that the applicant withdrew his case. Thank you, sir. Case 37-2023-Z-SE, 742 South George Street. You say they're not here?
I don't see him.
Do we have a motion to table?
I make a motion to table 372023-Z-SE.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Monte, could you call the vote?
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Velez, no, not here. Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
and Gaines.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next case is 38-2023-Z-V, 922 Laux Road.
Good evening. Charlie Sir from Stevens and Lee in Harrisburg, representing Chick-fil-A. This is pretty straightforward. This is a partial rebuild of the property, focusing on the drive-through. And because of that, the configuration, there's a slight increase in the impervious coverage on there. Currently, right now, the impervious is at 81.8%. I believe there's a variance was granted to go over the 80% a few years ago when the facility was first put in. Due with the reconfiguration, it's now up to 83.6%, which is an increase of just over 1,000 square feet of impervious coverage. We have with us Santiago Uribe, and then Gideon Lee from JLL here. Just can go over, let you know what's happening with the project, show it to you, and then answer any questions you have. But it's pretty straightforward. Go ahead.
All right, good evening. Thank you for your time today. So for those not familiar with the Chick-fil-A property, it's located right off of Lux Road. It has some residential homes really to the south of the property. It's kind of surrounded by a strip mall to the west, as well as I believe it's a Kentucky Fried Chicken to the east. So part of what we're doing today really is there are 5 parking spaces directly off of Lux Road that we're proposing to really strike out to expand the drive-through queuing capacity for the restaurant. As part of that, we are gaining a couple spaces in 4 locations elsewhere in the property, really to make up and reduce the loss of parking for the Chick-fil-A. So as a result, we're, like Charlie mentioned, we're increasing the impervious square footage by about 1,000 square feet, and we're reducing the parking count only by 1 space. So you can see from the plan, this area here is where the 5 parking spaces used to be. We're expanding that to provide, as part of this application, which is not really related to variance, but the restaurant is proposing, we're proposing to add 2 new canopies that will really enhance and make the drive-through operations better for Chick-fil-A team. So with the 5 spaces being lost in this area, here and an extra one near the trash enclosure.
There's no work, the building's staying as is, there are gonna be some interior renovations, but basically the building will stay as it is, as is right now.
Modifications to the building itself.
Then there would be no land development plan process, correct?
So we're working with the staff as well as the city engineer. It's gonna be a small project application that's kind of in line with the building permit submission process. So we're coordinating with their office for that.
So that's it. It's fairly straightforward, so if you have any questions for us, we're here.
Anyone have questions?
Are you taking out any trees?
No, I think we're keeping the 2 trees by where we're adding 2 parking spaces down there. And then if anything, we'll probably be looking to add another extra trees near that access point where the drive-through, where we're striking out that parking.
What's going away? Just grass?
Correct, yeah, just grass.
Grass area.
Okay.
We like trees.
So are you realigning any of this queuing area?
So the queuing area currently ends really almost in line with the existing parking in front of the restaurant.
Yeah.
What we're doing is, there's existing spots here that we're basically removing to expand the drive-through capacity, the queuing
Okay.
capacity.
It does look rather tight right now.
Currently, it's a single lane approach to your order points, and we'd be looking at opening it up so that you can have 2 cars entering and ordering at the same time. And likewise, on the exit, once you pick up your food, we are adding a bypass lane because that does tend to bottleneck, and we're trying to improve that flow, obviously increasing safety throughout the site and then ultimately into your food fairs.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I recommend approval of a variance to increase impervious service as defined in section 1303.09 at 922 Laux Road.
Second.
Any further discussion? Monty, could you call the vote? Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we got all of the blighted properties previously, but wasn't it something about accepting them all at once? We were,
Yeah, we can't accept them all at once. I'd like to have a 5-minute recess. We're going to have a 5-minute recess.
We're having a recess. Never had one. Since elementary school. He turned it into a room.
not my problem. My problem is when I sit here while people argue.
Are we still on TV? Do I have an opportunity to sing a song?
As far as I know, because Nancy's the only one that knows how to turn it off. Although there's no light on the camera, so I've always wondered whether they're actually on.
Maribel had it on YouTube. She had pulled up. She was watching us as we were doing it.
Is she just doing it to see my facial expression?
She, I don't know.
What are you eating? Oh, I should have asked you if you're getting some.
It's one of the lighted properties that Nancy left off the list, is 420 West Church Street. Say what? It was one property that Nancy left off the list.
I remember when I took my photo with some food and I went to my friend's house and she made my favorite shrimp soup. I was like,
Yeah, I know. I start changing it up once I realized that they put the address on, so I tried to go.
I did too, but I was like, I'm eating that. I'm this.
And then like, if you go to the second page on the picture, they usually have the address. Yeah, when I realized that in the paperwork, that's why I said I'm gonna change it up and everything, because it goes better with the format with this and the pictures instead of just one.
Monty, did you cut the live feed or is it still on?
It's been gone. It's on. Yeah.
I would like to call this meeting of the York City Planning Commission back to order. Blight Properties. 240 Stonewall Avenue.
Oh my God.
The owner of 240 Stonewall Avenue is company 700 Pine House LLC. And as you can see, it fits the blight criteria, number 1, number 2, number 5, 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F. The property currently has no services at all.
Do you know, I take it it's an industrial building of some sort. Do you know who the last tenant was?
No, I do not. I just know the property was bought like 10 years ago and the owner hasn't really made any improvements to the property since. All he does is cut the grass sometimes and just leave it the way it is.
Do we have a motion for 240 Stonewall Avenue?
I haven't done one of these in so long that I can't
Make
remember
a
the
motion.
name. Certify as.
Declare and certify.
Declare and certify. As blighted. I make a motion to declare and certify as blighted the property located at 240 Stonewall Avenue.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would you call the vote? Aye.
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 Motion carries. 605 West King Street.
This property is owned by Carrie Walker. This property was condemned about 3 years ago. As you can see, the blight criteria is number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 8, 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F. Once again, no electric, no water, no sewer refuse, and is condemned for unsafe. by the fire department orders.
According to your photos, I don't notice a fire department emblem on it that's do not enter.
Yeah, they didn't have that on there, but per what the fire department sent over to our office, it was deemed unsafe. That's why it's condemned. And they did have a condemned sign out front, but from the weather, it fell off. But they still have the condemned sign on the back door.
All right. Do we have a motion for 605 West King?
I make a motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 605 West King.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 351 South Penn Street.
351 South Penn Street the owner is Southbrook Renovations. But I noticed that they do not have any sewer refuse, no gas, electric, water. The fire department issued vacant, unsafe, but Southbrook Renovations has been making significant progress in the property. They are appealing it, but we're still going to move forward until they go all the way through the appeal process. And as you see, the blight criteria that it meets is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 8, 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Do you know if they've made any improvements in regard to the do not enter?
Well, I know they're making improvements. They gutted the whole inside of the house. They leave the boards up because they don't want the new windows that they put up to get broken. So mostly right now, the majority of the work is inside the property to address the main issues from the fire department.
And you're wishing this to go forward to ensure that they carry through?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion on 351 South Pine?
I motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 351 South Penn Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Or no,
Aye.
I'm sorry. Call the vote, please.
Very
Johnson,
excited.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 21 North Pine Street.
Okay. 21 North Pine Street, the owner is Peter K. Fender. As he stated before, it's garages with no service, no gas, no electric, water. Fire department says it's vacant, no entry. But as the blight criteria, it meets number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, number 7, 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Do we have a motion?
I motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 21 North Pine Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 110 West Cottage Street.
Okay, 110 West Cottage Place. The owner is Raymond Garcia. It's a vacant lot, has no services, no electric, no water, gas. You can't enter it, so the blight criteria that it meets is 4, 7, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Do we have any questions? Hearing none, there's a motion.
I motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 110 West Cottage.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call, please call the vote. Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 601 Madison Avenue.
601 Madison Avenue. The owner is Garden Foods, Inc. They owe taxes from 2022 and 2023. There's no sewer refuse service, no gas, no electric or water. The fire department ordered it vacant. As you see on the blight criteria, it meets number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, number 7, 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
I motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 601 Madison Avenue.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 701 York Street.
Okay. 701 York Street. The owner is Marco Fontanez. He owes taxes for 22 and 23. No sewer and refuse. No gas, no electric, no water. Fire department ruled that is vacant, no entry. Besides the blight criteria that it meets number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 8, 12A, 12D, 12E, 12F.
Any questions? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Nope. Motion first. Motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the next one. Do we have a motion?
A motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 701 York Street.
Second.
She can have it.
Okay, Gaines.
Tired.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
175 Lincoln.
175 Lincoln Street. The owner is Greg Deal. Per taxes, he owes for 2023. No sewer refuse, no utilities, gas, electric, or water. Fire department ordered issued vacant. Fire property, no entry. With the blight criteria, it meets number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 11, and 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Any questions? I have a question. 175 is the one we're currently discussing. 177 is next. Which one is the burnt property?
175 is the badly damaged burnt property, and 177 is one that just basically got a lot of smoke damage and a little bit of fire damage.
Okay. Do we have a motion on 175 Lincoln Street?
A motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 175 Lincoln Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Wolf. Oh, Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
One 177 Lincoln Street.
177 Lincoln Street. The owner is Brian Keith Sterner. Owes taxes for 2023. Sewer and refuse, no service, no gas, no electric, no water. Again, fire department orders vacant fire building. Blight criteria that it meets is number 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
A motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 177 Lincoln Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 344 South Pershing Avenue.
Okay, 344 South Pershing Avenue. The owner is Nadine Grimm. Property owes taxes for 2023. There's no sewer and refuse. There's no gas, electric, or water. Fire department orders no entry, hoarding. The blight criteria it meets is number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, number 5, number 8, 11, 12A, 12B, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
I think that's a straight flush, right? That's great.
Pretty much.
I've been waiting for that.
Do we have a motion?
A motion to declare and certify as blighted the property located at 344 South Pershing.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. 28 East South Street.
I believe this is 38 East South Street. The owner is Jeffrey Harris. It's just a vacant lot. He owns taxes for 21 and 2020 and 2021. No sewer, refuse, no gas, or electric, or water. Fire department orders, vacant license, vacant license and raised. Really don't know what that means. But the blight criteria that it meets is 6, number 7, and number 12.
Is there a motion?
I motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 38 East South Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Finally, 420 West Princess Street. Oh, motion carries. 420 West Princess Street.
Okay, 420 West Princess Street. American Hepatitis Association is the owner. Taxes owed is from 22 and 2023. There's no sewer and refuse service, no gas, electric, or water. Fire department orders is vacant, no entry. The blight criteria fits is number 3, number 5, number 8, number 12A, 12D, 12E, and 12F.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Is that East or West Princess?
West.
West.
All right. A motion to declare and certify as blighted the property at 420 West Princess.
Second.
Oh, what did I say?
You just didn't say one, or it wasn't on here.
Any, any other questions? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Burgos,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Gaines.
Aye.
Motion carries. Open forum, do we have anything for discussion? Hearing none, we stand adjourned.